what's up? They call me Shake the Magnet, and I just wanted to drop in and lace you with a little basic information on real estate investing and my attempts to close the wealth gap, or at least give those of you who are willing to learn and take action the opportunity. If you are not proactive, it doesn't matter how much information is given to you because it's not going to benefit from you. Make sure you hit the bell and subscribe to this channel. I would greatly appreciate it and do my best to entertain you and as well as give you useful information to help you build generational wealth in your family. Okay, so the first simple basic real estate tactic is the Taxpayer Relief Act of 1997. It says if you owned and lived in a place for 2 of the 5 years before the sale, then up to $250,000 of profit is tax-free. If you are married and file a joint return, the tax-free amount doubles to $500,000. The law lets you exclude this profit from your taxable income. If you sold for a loss, though, you cannot take a deduction for that loss on your taxes. You can use this exclusion every time you sell a primary residence, as long as you owned and lived in it for 2 of the 5 years leading up to the sale and haven't claimed this exclusion on another home in the last 2 years. If your profits exceeds $250,000 or $500,000 limit, the excess is reported as capital gains, as you have to pay taxes on that extra money you made, over the limit. Okay, now there are 3 tests you must meet in order to treat the gain from the sale of your main home as tax-free. Number 1 is ownership. You must have owned the home for at least 2 years, 730 days, or 24 full months during the 5 years prior to the date of your sale. It doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be continuous though, nor does it have to be the 2 years immediately preceding the sale. If you lived in a house for a decade as your primary residence, then rented it out for 2 years prior to the sale, for example, you would still qualify under the test. So you can do that right now. Number 2, you must have used the home you are selling as a principal residence for at least 2 of the 5 years prior to the date of sale. And number 3, timing. If you have not excluded the gain and the sale of another home within 2 years prior to this sale, then you qualify. If you are married and want to use the $500,000 exclusion, you must file a joint return. At least one spouse must meet the ownership requirement, meaning own the home for at least 2 years during the 5 years prior to the sale date. Both you and your spouse must have lived in the house for 2 of the 5 years leading up to the sale. You got to make sure you get all 3 of those down. Understand those 3. The next one tactic is for those that have rental property or a second home that you own and may want to sell it, but you're looking at how much you will be taxed off of the sale. Well, here is a good tactic for rolling this money into maybe another deal that can create income for you and your family, and it's called the 1031 exchange. In real estate, 1031 exchange is a swap of one investment property for another that allows capital gains taxes to be deferred. The term, which gets the name from the IRS code section 1031. IRS section 1031 has many moving parts that real estate investors must understand before attempting to use it. An exchange can only be made with like-kind properties, and the IRS rules limit us with vacation properties, some of it. These are also tax implications that frames that may be problematic. Still, you considering the 1031 or curious, you should know about the rules. What is section 1031? Broadly stated, a 1031 exchange, also called a like-kind exchange, is a swap of one investment property for another. Although most swaps are taxable as sales, if yours meets the requirements of 1031, you will either have no tax or limited taxes due at the time of the exchange. In effect, you can change the form of your investments without, as the IRS see it, cashing out or recognizing a capital gain. That allows your investment to continue to grow tax deferred. That is a very important informational note right there. Tax deferred. There is no limit on how many times or how frequently you can do this 1031. You can roll it over a gain of one piece of investment real estate to another, to another, to another, as many times as you want. Although you may have a profit on each swap, you avoid tax until you sell for cash many years later. Then if it works out as planned, you'll pay only one tax. And that at the long-term capital gains rate, currently 15% to 20%, depending on the income. Lower, it's a lower tax. Most exchanges must merely be of like kind, a funny broad phrase. It doesn't mean what you think it means. You can exchange an apartment building for raw land or a ranch for a strip mall. The rules are surprisingly liberal. You can even exchange one business for another. But there are traps for the uneducated and the misinformed. The 1031 provision is for investment and business property, although the rules can apply to a former primary resident under certain conditions. You can use 1031 for swapping vacation homes, but this loophole can be narrower than it used to be. Special rules of depreciable property, especially rules apply when depreciable property is exchanged. It can trigger a profit known as depreciation recapture. That is taxes on ordinary income in general. If you swap for one building for another building, you can avoid the recapture. But if you exchange land for a building, the unimproved land without a building, the depreciation you previously claimed on the building will recapture as ordinary income. Such complications are why we need business professionals when you're doing 1031's exchange. So I'm gonna leave it right there. I hope I got the pot hot for you. If you guys want me to get into it deeper examples of these two basic investment tactics, leave me a comment below or come on over to my Facebook group, Shake the Magnet. I'll leave a link below. Just hit me up and let me know you want to be part of the private Facebook group called the Magnate Mastermind group, or be looking for my live streaming of questions and answers. Look, I'm just doing my part in helping everybody build the quality of life they would be proud of. It's really not that hard. Just takes for you to learn a few things and then learn how to apply them. You don't need a degree or to take crazy risks to be a millionaire. Just take knowledge and discipline. Until next time.
En la ciencia